Today is Wednesday, November 8th, 2023. It's 12:15 a.m. And what has occurred to me is the greatest methods. Essentially, everything in the discipline of day trading. Uh, in the discipline of day trading, everything has the purpose of defining the trend. Even people who sell options, they have to analyze some sort of volatility to define the time that they sell the options, such that the volatility will be managed. I heard that if there is a significant spike in volatility, it is very difficult to make money when selling options. So something of the order of defining what the trend is, whether it's going to be range bound, preferably that's what they want. Very, very volatile trend that has been range bound, right? Which makes the volatility very large, but it is corralled within a certain range. That makes it easier to tame the market when that happens. Now I've been trying to what is it that I am attempting to define? Really, the word, essentially, the mother of all words is called trend. Okay, trend is the mother of all words in Wall Street. Mother of all. It is the mother of all. What I have to do is define that which, for that time period, or it could be wider if I'm performing a swing trade, where it would actually go against the way that I want it to go, and then eventually go towards in the direction that I want. That's defined as swing trading. Scalping means as soon as I enter, it goes in my direction, and if it turns, then I get out. That's what scalping is. In both cases, what I'm looking for is something called a trend. I'm looking for a scalping trend, which essentially allows me to take a very short candle formations that allows me to enter and quickly ride the trend for that period and exit that trend before that trend changes. Okay, even if it goes up, even if it goes in the direction that I want to go further, but if it takes a dip from the entry point where I got in, then that could cause a loss. And so scalping essentially is exiting when at the point where the gains that I have is essentially dissipates. Swing trading is actually riding a trend that is slightly bigger. It's a slightly bigger trend, a stronger trend than the scalping trend, because I have to weather the storm of slight deviation in the way that the candlesticks move in the direction that I anticipated to be going. So then, with all these candlestick gyrations, what I want to do is I want to capture a significant move. If I were to scalp 30 points, 20 points or 30 points, I suppose that's okay. But the significant move that I'm looking for is 150 points, 150 pips. I'm looking for about 150 pips. And what I'm looking to do is lose about 30 pips, and get the 150 pips. But the way that these stocks are moving the way that it gyrates, it's gyrating at about 50 or 60 pips up and down, especially for Meta and Microsoft. Some of these stocks gyrate in that manner. But riding that gyration is the bigger trend. And so I have to figure out how to define. So within a day, I was looking at today's trades on Meta and Microsoft, and I noticed that what it would do is it would do this, lip, and then do that. So like that. So essentially there were one section, two sections, three sections, about four sections of. So essentially, if I were to look at again today, yesterday it was, if I look at back here again, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Essentially four different moves. 1, 2, 3, 4, right there. Essentially, there was about four major trends that was occurring. So if I look at Microsoft as well. If I look at Microsoft was essentially this flat line at the top side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Essentially, that was actually 4 as well. So what I need to do is figure out that there's going to be, if it's trending all day, it's going to be one way. That's it. Okay. The other way is if the stock is trending in a certain way, I have to figure out how to observe these variances in the stock. And so identifying the trend is the most critical part of what these confluences are saying. So the mother of all, okay, the mother of all word in stocks is trend. Essentially, that's what it is. It's trend, isn't it? That's all it is. It's trend. Even if a stock reverses, okay, I'm waiting for the stock to reverse, and then when it shows that it's going in that direction, is to establish a particular trend, then that's the point where I get in to ride that trend. So it is essentially the trend. And when it's range bound, it's also trending sideways, right? It's toggling back and forth, but it's trending sideways. So what I have to do within a day to anticipate that there could be one or more variants, one or more major trends that occurs within the intraday. And if I look at it on a lower level, I mean on a minute candle basis, there are quite a few sub trends that ride this thing. So I have to figure out how to differentiate between the sub trend, okay, sub trend versus the trend within that day. I mean, there's essentially, what is a trend? So there's basically within a day, there's going to be one primary trend, okay, which is going to be from open to close, a straight line, okay. And the second trend is subcategories like shown today, like 4 of them moving up, down, to the point where it closes, which essentially breaks it down to the one-on-one trade within the day, and that one section can be broken down into subcategories, which is essentially 4 sub trends, and then within those sub trends there are essentially, here I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the second part here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, 10 before 11 before it starts to move into that. So essentially, within this one long trend, there was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like there is about 12 sub trend that occurs there, right? And so what I need to do is differentiate between the trees from the forest and ride the bigger wave and absorb these sub trends. So if I can figure, so that is the reason why I am not successful right now. I'm not a consistently profitable day trader at this moment because of that reason. Because I'm unable to distinguish between the trend, the subtrend, subtrend, and there's also a subtrend. So there's something called subtrend. This is so obvious. This is so obvious, but it just occurred to me. It just occurred to me. There is a thing called sub trend. Okay, it's like the cell phone. Okay, the cell phone has a carrier frequency. Okay, it has a carrier frequency. Within that carrier frequency, there's a higher frequency riding on that carrier frequency. Okay, that's what it is. Oh, yeah. So essentially, essentially, whoa, that's very, very interesting. So there's like wave forms. There are wave forms within a day where there is a primary, the fundamental frequency. So there's a frequency. Okay, there's a frequency that's. Oh yeah. So there's essentially a frequency. It's essentially like a mixer in a engineering terminology. It's a device that takes one frequency and takes another frequency and then combines it together and then creates a new frequency, and that's called a mixer. Okay, so what's essentially happening is within a day, within an intraday, there is essentially lots of frequencies that's going on. There is the fundamental frequency, which is from open to close. Okay, that's the fundamental frequency. And the second frequency is this big wave. 1, 2, 3, 4 big waves that are essentially, if I'm thinking in terms of cycles, okay. So with a primary frequency being just a single cycle, then there's that sub under that frequency is essentially a four cycles to a single cycle. And then on the first one, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So on the first of the four subcycles, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 subcycles of the sub-frequencies of that first one. And the second one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then there's 9 on the second subcycle, sub-frequency. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right there. Very, very small ones here. And so that's something that I need to be aware of. So if I were to categorize out, so essentially what this is telling me is that there is a weight, there's a channel that's being created. Okay, so if I were to corral this, what I have to do is combine this with that, and that should be possible. Okay. I'm currently looking at the meta. I'm looking at a meta right here. So as I was as I was talking about, as I was describing this, what I'm discovering is this. Okay, so essentially, that's the close, and essentially that's the open. So if I were to draw a single line from this point, if I were to draw a line from here to here, okay, okay, and make this very thick. Now I would define this as the fundamental frequency of fundamental trend of essentially this intraday movement, right? Essentially, it went from here to here, so that would be the fundamental. Then there would be this guy right there. So if I were to describe this guy right here, essentially moving in a channel. So if I were to describe this right here to here, it's essentially moving in a channel right here. And then once it gets to here, it's also moving in a channel to here. Okay, so that is the fundamental frequency. That's the second order frequency. Second order frequency. And then here, I'm looking at another fundamental frequency, second order frequency right here, essentially, which created a wedge, actually. So I've been studying something called a wedge, and I'm seeing a wedge here. And then at this point, there's another point here, which is right here. Okay? And here to here essentially is quad. 1, 2, 3, 4, quad. Quad subfrequencies that are being generated here, right? That's what I'm looking at. So even if it warps, even if it does that, but it essentially is moving, for this case, is moving in a linear fashion based on a channel that is created here, just like that. And then if I look closer, deeper into this section, which is the section here, there's even a sub area right here. Okay? So if I look here, we're looking at a channel that's being created here. And then from here to here there's another one right there. Okay, right here. So essentially within that second order trend, okay, second order trend, there's also a third order trend that's occurring embedded within that trend. And this is essentially a prime example of how the stocks move within the day. And it moves just like this, but slightly different each and every day. Okay? Look at that. It moves here, moves here. Just like that. And then it moves here. And then it moves here. Okay? Just like that. And so as long as I'm astute in understanding that there is a overall, I can just draw these lines and see, hey, is it moving in this fashion? What is it doing within here, within here, within here? Okay, what is it doing when it goes here? Is it moving down? So what I could be looking for is essentially these things within throughout the day. I could be looking at these things throughout the day. If I look at these trades, I could be looking at what the stock does and look at it based on its movements throughout the day, and I can take advantage of it based on how it moves. And so if I draw this line to a certain point, I'm trying to understand why did it get up here, then I could get up here and then see that it's actually performing a lower high. And I could have bought a put here and then bought it here. And then as soon as it reached here, I could have purchased it again. So I could have made a significant amount of, I could have made a lot of trades based on looking at this, looking at how the stock is moving. So I wonder if that's something similar to how some of these other stocks are moving as well. So I can actually draw something like this as well on, and it's actually creating a wedge here. I can also see it here. See that? I can also see it, and I can also see that it has a slight channels that are being see how it also works that way as well. I'm looking at it here. So the sooner I identify what's going on here, the sooner I identify the way that these stocks are moving, and this is something that I can relate to. Here would be called an interesting section where it's actually topping off here. So this can be transferred over. This can be looked at through various stocks. Even the stock here, it performs certain level of sub. It has a certain level of sub secondary trend that's occurring. So for today, I'm looking at it just for today, and I'm looking to see how it's going to be related to these guys here. I'm looking at this as well. And I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this. So I wonder if I can identify this throughout the day when I'm trading. So when I'm trading, I should be able to formulate the possibility as soon as it pivots here. So I would have to look for what something is called a pivot point. So when I look at these, I'm looking at the pivot points. Here and here, drawing this with that particular setup here, which would have been, so essentially I'm looking at a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, essentially about 8 secondary trend, second order. This is a second order. So these moves in orders of, this is very, very fascinating. So essentially these things move like that. And sometimes it rides it. It rides this VWAP. Look how it rides it. It rides it. And then it just pops back up. So if I look at here, I mean, it's riding the VWAP right there. So I looked at 3 stocks. Okay, let's see if something like Apple does that as well. I'm looking at Apple. Apple has essentially it has, oh, come on. Apple essentially has something like this right there. Right there. And if I draw a line right there. And then if I look here, so essentially it's moving from here to here, here to here, essentially. And here to here to here to here, and essentially moving sideways here. So even Apple, looking at it, has 1, 2, 3, 4 sub-order trends. Okay, that's a sub-order trend. So looking at it from here, even on the sub-order, there's actually 1. So here to here is 1. Here to here is 2. Here to here is 3. And here to here is 4. Here to here is 5. So there are essentially riding on a carrier frequency. It's called a carrier trend. Within a carrier trend, there is a carrier, there is a sub secondary order trend that rides along the main trend. Essentially, I'm looking at here. What if I look at yesterday? If I were to look at yesterday, yesterday is the same thing here. Essentially, I'm looking at this, creating a trend here, and then right here, just writing it, and then here again, another one, and another one. This essentially is, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, essentially about 5 suborder trends that occurs here as well. So this is something that I should be cognizant of as it changes direction. This could essentially be considered as one big trend right here. I mean, if I were to activate this guy and essentially tie it right there, right, and get rid of this one, remove this one here, see? Right there, this could be considered one major, I mean, if I were to just activate it and essentially let it be right there, that could be the long sub-order trend, considering. So if I right here, so this is something that I was not aware of. I was not aware that these sub-order trends existed, floating around in the main trend. So if I look at the main trend here, the main trend is right here. Okay, that's the main trend. So if I look at here, put it here, look at that. That's open. Okay, that's open to close. Essentially, that's the main trend. Okay, that's the main trend. Now that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 suborder trends. This is something that I was not aware of. Okay, so if I go back one more day, see, look at that. Look how it moves. Look how the stock moved. They move like that. They move in a channel. Oh, wow. Stock price moves in a channel. Oh, stock moves intraday in a channel.